due to copyright laws and difficulties sharing the podcast across different platforms, the music unfortunately had to be removed from the original recordings. I hope this doesn't spoil your enjoyment or interrupts the flow too much.
You are an Iron Man!
Absolutely delighted to have with me today Peter Skeffington. Peter, thank you very much for agreeing to come on the podcast.
No problem, Mickey. You're welcome.
Peter, you're one of the guys that's name dropped in the book. You and I had a conversation up in Loch Macquarie one evening after a swim, and you gave me nuggets of information. And I've spoke to many a person in the club, and they've told me likewise that you've over the years dropped these wee nuggets of information and advice to them. And it's one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on here, because I know you're a wealth of information. So I'll be very, very interested and intrigued to dig down in there and see what we can hook out for everybody else.
See what's there.
Kind of my story, Peter, as you know, is a kind of a journey, and I wasn't always a fit person. I'd been a drinker and a smoker and rocking and rolling and whatnot. Were you always into the fitness from a young age, or is it something that you've got into over the years? What was your journey?
No, I wasn't sporty at all or into exercise or anything when I was young, and actually never did PE at school.
Okay.
Was sort of heavy, chubby when I was at school, and got bullied slightly, I suppose, throughout my school years because of that. In fact, years whenever with the brothers, we'd have been sent out for a run during PE, as I'm sure you know, maybe. You probably sent the same yourself.
Up the Cavan Road?
Up the Cavan Road, out on the Ballinahaddy Road and back in the Dublin Road and over Townview Avenue and back to the school.
Yeah.
Me and a couple of other boys got this length, we were dandered up till the spar shop. Mm-hmm. That time there would have been a wall at the spar shop, around the perimeter of the spar shop. So we sat on the wall and chatted.
Right.
Till most of the other ones came back, knowing not to go in too soon, because then you'd have been maybe classed as being a good runner.
Could have been picked for the cross country team.
You could have been picked for something you didn't want to be in or couldn't be in. And then we'd waited till most of the guys went back in, and then we'd have run fast back to the school, that couple of 100 metres back to the school, to look a wee bit flushed.
Right.
As if you had done something.
Yeah.
And that would have been the end of it. But other than that, wouldn't have taken part in any PE or football or anything like that at all.
So you would have been sort of a bit of a chancer, would have been fair to say?
A bit of a chancer at that time, trying to get out of things.
So, literally almost avoiding the exercise as such?
Definitely avoiding it. But the only thing I would have probably done, we wouldn't have had, always had a car whenever we were young. So to get places and stuff like that, you'd have had to have a bicycle, so I'd have cycled places, but it wasn't really exercise. It was more to get you from A to B.
Yes.
To go somewhere or to do something or whatever. It definitely wasn't exercise. And I worked part-time nearly in Cowan's petrol station when I was at school.
Christ, that's a blast from the past.
When I started there when I was 12 years of age, actually.
Right.
Working in Neely and Cowan's. Where McDermott's is there now, I'm sure you know it.
Yeah.
And in order to get there and home again, I just had a bicycle. So I cycled back and forward and messed about a bit like that there, but it definitely wasn't exercise by any matter of means.
I think my only exercise probably around those years would have been something very similar. I would have had a bike. I remember doing a paper round for McGirr's spar shop, the shop that you're talking about.
There you are.
And you remember the old cement?
I do.
Works across
RMC across where the tyre depot was there now. Yeah.
That would have been our jungle when we were kids. We'd have been climbing up on that and jumping off the walls and messing about there. But that would have been a bike. A bike would have been only really used for either doing wheelies and jumping ramps, or getting you from one house to your mate's house.
Yeah,
but there was none of this power meters and watts and all that kind of carry on.
Clip-on shoes or anything like that.
Or helmets.
No helmets, no. Didn't even have lights.
That's right.
Police used to stop, at 10 at night coming home from work and nearly in Cowan, give out to you about having no lights because you didn't want to buy the lights for the batteries.
With dynamos and all that sorts of stuff. I mean, yeah, it's like a wee grey bottle with a spinny top on it.
That's right. Stick it up against the tire.
So you would have been. You had went through school, and at what point then did things begin to turn for you with regards to getting into or more interested in fitness and health?
I suppose really what happened, I was out then when I was 16, bought a motorbike. My brother would have been into motorbikes and I had been into motorbikes and couldn't wait till I was 16 to get this motorbike and get out on the road and that. So I got the motorbike anyway and got out on the road and stuff, and I met a couple of fellas, and one fella in particular actually, he died a couple of years ago, a guy called Colin Ewing. Me and him became great friends from about 16 onwards.
Right.
And we used to hang about and stuff, and he had a wee shed, he had a wee shed out the back of his house where he lived, and he had worked at bikes, engines and figured about bits and pieces. Used to go out to give him a hand or chat and listen to the radio and listen to music and stuff like that. And he says to me one night, he says, "Do you fancy going for a run?" And I thought it was on the motorbike, so I says, "Aye, where are we going?" And he says, no, a run, he says, a run, like a, run up the road, a road run. And I says, "Fuck me, I had a pair of jeans, a pair of Doc Marten boots and a leather jacket, like." That was it. And I says to him, "Seriously?"
You were ready to rock?
I was ready to go on the motorbike. So we headed off and out in this run, done a couple of miles in this run. I was wrecked. And with the Doc Marten boots and a pair of jeans.
The jeans, no.
Just whatever was on. That was
the fawns.
And from there on, I actually enjoyed it. And from there on, then I just took to running. The two of us done a bit of running. Then over the years, different people, and I'd running with different people. Just running. Really, there was nothing else. I couldn't swim, so it was just running. So met up with different people over the years, and started into running in the late 80s. There used to be a 10k in Oma here. Carlton Bakery would have sponsored it.
Right. Yes.
Oma 10k.
I remember that.
I remember thinking, if I could do that, that'd be brilliant. Like, that'd be really, really good. And I knew the half marathon. There was a half marathon on from time to time as well. So I thought, if I could do that 10k, so I built myself up till being able to do 6 mile in training, or running, or exercise, whatever you want to call it.
Aye.
And was able to do 6 mile a couple of times a week, and I thought, right, I'm going to do this 10k when it comes up. Can't even remember what time of the year it was. It might have been April or May, maybe. So I decided to enter this 10k. So I entered the 10k, and of course here I was, knowing that I could do 6 mile, no problem, or 6.2 or whatever it was. Standing at the front line, right on the front of the start of the race, took off. We went up through the middle of the town, out to Campsie and on into Killytower. I was wrecked at 3 mile. Wrecked.
Busted yourself?
Totally wrecked at 3 miles. Wondering how I was going to get to the finish line, up over St Mary's Road then, out onto the Gorchin Road. So that was a big learning curve.
Yes.
So I did it the following year again, and stood back a wee bit, went back into the middle of the crowd and had a bit of manners. The second time I did it. I did it, I think, about 3 or 4 minutes quicker the second time than I did the first time. So it was a bit of a learning curve to start off with, to try to pace things properly, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So then I built in then to the half marathon. I eventually did the half marathon, late 80s, early 90s. I can't remember exactly what year it was, but it's well over 30 years ago anyway. I did the half marathon in Oma, and sort of went from there. I was racing motorbikes then at the time as well. I got into motorbike racing, and I was racing motorbikes, so I was sort of training or exercising to keep fit, just really for the motorbikes. And I always sort of had an idea at that time then that I would like to do a marathon, but then marathons, I found out then that marathons and motorbike racing don't really go together. Because you fall off the motorbike and you get injured, it just wrecks the whole marathon training, which it did. I think it was 1995, I think, was my first attempt to try to do a marathon, a Dublin marathon I had sort of planned on doing. And a motorbike accident sort of put paid to that. That ended that. So I waited then until I finished the motorbikes. I thought, I'll wait then, I'll just exercise here and keep fit. for the bikes, and then I'll whenever that's all over, I might try a marathon. So decided to do that. So.
And would that have been the road racing on the motorbikes?
Generally short circuits, bit of road racing, but generally short circuits. I did actually qualify to do the Northwest 200 one year because you had to qualify. So I did actually qualify for it, but never got around to doing it because I got injured before it as well.
Right.
The bike I had probably wouldn't have lasted the race anyway. It was too fast. The course was very fast and long.
Yes.
10-mile course, like it was 6 laps or whatever. It probably wouldn't have lasted. But a couple of years later, a sponsor of mine, Alan Craig, Schimmel Distribution, had offered me then bikes to do it, but I was kind of coming out of it at that stage.
Right.
And I had a brother killed with a motorbike.
Right, okay.
So that sort of changed
the
outlook on things, right? And
yeah.
although he'd been killed before, like I was racing after that and whatever, you know. So Noel was killed in 1987 actually.
Right.
And I was still into the bikes, like. But I had a couple of decent spills off the bike. What we in the motorbike world would call good accidents.
Good accidents.
Real good stuff where you break a pile of bones and stuff, you know.
Aye.
You know, nothing simple, you know. So I decided then Callum was born and stuff, and I thought I'm gonna have to start maybe wising up here a wee bit, you know. Finding something different to do other than this. So very difficult to replace the buzz.
That's what I was going to say. That's like, I mean, that's a full on adrenaline job. You know, you're flying, like, I mean, ridiculous speeds at inches from the ground, and
you don't really realise the speed you're doing until you fall off. Because the thing about it is you don't, and it's I mean that, like, because you're racing obviously with all the other guys on the bikes. Everybody's going in one direction. Speed becomes sort of relative.
Yes, I get
you know.
Yeah,
if you're doing over 100 mile an hour or whatever it is, like 120, 30 mile an hour, whatever you're doing, or more, like the guys nowadays are they're reaching mental speeds. Like, you don't realise, because the guy beside you's doing the same thing, but you can't get away from him, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
So you don't realise, you know, when you have your braking points and you know all the circuits, you know your gears and stuff like that there. So you get into the like that and you don't realise the speed you're going at until such times. The first time I ever realised it was I had an off at Bishopscourt one time, and it was flat out in fifth gear, like, and they worked it out. Obviously you're not allowed a speedometer and stuff on the motorbike because they reckon it puts you off or whatever, so they worked it out at something like maybe 105, 110 mile an hour. But what I didn't realise the speed you were doing until, thankfully there was a big runoff area, a big grassy area, an old airfield or an old army base or something it was, and I kept rolling and thought, right, I'm bound to stop here shortly. But I kept rolling and I thought, fuck me, that must have been some speed. Do you know what I mean? So you don't really realise until you fall off how fast you're going. Then it's not always the fast crashes that do the damage. Sometimes the slower crashes do a lot more damage to the body and stuff. So
that's unreal. So you've left the speed from the motorbikes, and you had said there that you had never even swam. Had you started swimming then at this point, or where's the journey take you?
Swimming. Well, after the motorbikes, I had a couple of years of doing very little. Kids had been born, and kids were young. There was only 18 months between Callum and Shannon. So I suppose it took a few years then to get things, you know, making sure that you were there and stuff at the house and that.
Yeah.
Can't just leave it to one person, you know.
No.
And then got back into running again, just to exercise, keep a bit fit. And then decided for 2001, I actually decided I was going to do a marathon.
Right. In
2001. So I trained then for the Belfast Marathon, and did that, took up running again and done a few events, half marathons and stuff, and then did the Belfast Marathon 2001. And from there on then, obviously, got more into it. The competitiveness comes back into your head no matter what it is, whether it's motorbike racing or whether it's golf for people or whether it's football or whatever. The competitiveness never really leaves the head. So you're always really only competing against yourself, really.
Yeah.
Yes, there are other people. There's a bit of crack and a bit of fun comes along the way with people that you get to know and stuff like that. Just worked through that and kept going, trying to get quicker and quicker and quicker at the running. Obviously then that brings along injuries. The more you do, the more prone you are to getting injured. 2003, I had a really good year in 2003 with the running, but quite injury prone at that stage, and I met up then with, I've always wanted to be able to swim, but I couldn't. And I had got the kids into swimming, and they'd done swimming lessons through Dolphins Swimming Club, and they were able to swim before I could swim. And it was Connor and Etta. I'd said to Connor one time about a triathlon, and he says to me, "When do you come and do triathlon?" And I said, "Well, there's a bit of a problem there." And he goes, "What?" And I says, "I can't swim." He says, "Right, okay." So I mentioned this to a few people that I wanted to maybe try a triathlon, and see how I could get on with it. And the guy I was training with quite often, Linus Montague, I don't know if you know Linus or not.
I do indeed, yeah.
Me and Linus got quite friendly, still are actually, and we and Linus got quite friendly over the years when we were running and doing different things and stuff like that there. And I'd said to him about swimming, and he couldn't swim either. So we used to always do a gym session in the old training zone in the leisure centre, if you remember.
Aye.
Years ago, it started out as a snooker room. Do you remember 2 snooker tables?
Aye, Jesus, aye.
Down past the wee weights room, down the stairs, past the wee weights room on the right hand side over.
You could go to the leisure centre for a game of snooker.
Two snooker tables started out as from the very early days in the 1980s, and they turned it into what they called the training zone. So we joined the training zone where every Thursday night we went for sort of a weights, bit on the bike, and then sort of weights and stuff like that there, strength and evening. And of course Linus was always late. Every evening I'd have been on the bike waiting on him to come in, so he'd have jumped in on the bike and he'd get in this Thursday evening, and he says to me, "I've booked me and you for swimming lessons." And I goes, "Okay, right, when do we start?" A couple of weeks time. So that was about April time, I think it was, or March time, 2003. I was 35 years of age at that stage and couldn't swim.
Right.
So so he booked us for the lessons. We went for 8 lessons. First couple of lessons we went in, was one of the Dudley girls who would have been Tricia.
Tricia would have been working in the leisure then.
Tricia and Joan and those girls would have been fantastic swimmers. They would have been competitive swimmers actually.
They were indeed, yeah. All the Dudleys, yeah. Great swimmers.
And Frank Giel's day from memory, because I was at school with John and Richard. Richard a bit younger. Richard actually, I'm sure you know, went to the Olympics in 1988 and so.
Richard's brother James was in my class at school as well. So I know them all, yeah.
But they were competitive swimmers, those girls, and Patricia was taking the swimming lessons, and first one or two we went to Thursday evening. Patricia was doing all strokes, breaststroke, backstroke, and all the rest. So I said, "Right," I says, "Patricia, I just want to do front crawl." And she said, "There was 8 people in the pool, right? 8 people in the pool." She says, "Right, okay, Peter, that's grand." She says, "Any particular reason?" Everybody else she'd given her was all an exercise to do, and I had called her to the side when there was no one there, but I didn't realise that everybody had gathered up behind me while I was talking to her. They had finished their piece that they were supposed to do, and I said to her, "Well, I would like to do triathlons." And she goes, "Right, okay." And I looked around, all of a sudden all these other people, Linus was there as well, and these 6 other people were there, probably thinking to themselves, he can't even swim a length of the pool.
He's looking into the future.
This madman is thinking he's going to do a triathlon, he can't even swim a length of the pool. So Patricia says, "That's fine." And then Linus says, "I'm the same." And he says, "Right, okay, I'll work with you differently and just walk in the front crawl." And she did that, and we did her 8 lessons. The way we went, practiced away, and kept going throughout 2003. I was doing quite a bit of running, and then started 2004, entered into the Lame Wall triathlon, and from there on, that was it really. we just kept going. We went to Leinstein, booked us again the following year at the end of 2004 into one-to-one lessons with a guy called Gary McAnespy in the Enniskillen Forum, Lakeland Forum in Enniskillen.
Yeah.
We did that for a number of weeks, where he gave us technique advice. Took us 6 or 7 or 8 weeks, whatever it was, program again. And whenever we come out of that, we had to change everything that we were doing, because obviously we got into bad habits over that previous 15, 16 months, doing things probably that Patricia hadn't taught us to do at all, if you know what I mean. And so he changed and got us breathing both sides and bilaterally, like, and made a big difference to what we were doing. And then from there on, did a few other triathlons in 2005 and went from there just with triathlon.
Unbelievable. So you couldn't swim the length of yourself?
Couldn't swim.
But the notion was in you?
Notion was there. Always wanted to be able to swim but couldn't. Just, could never master it.
And what do you think it was, thinking back, what do you think it was about triathlon that had sparked your interest? Because at that point you couldn't swim. So it wasn't, and I suppose that's where the rest of the people that were in the swimming pool at that time were thinking, here's a guy who's on about doing triathlon and he can't swim. We're only here because we want to swim. Yeah. And this guy's already thinking, I want to do a triathlon. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I'm just curious to try and suss out. You could bike and you could run.
I could run. I hadn't biked for quite a while either, to be honest with you, up until that. I probably hadn't biked from when I got the motorbike.
The motorbike had been your...
The bicycle then went to the wayside. I had done a couple of maybe charity cycles, but got a Lenovo bike of a friend. And I remember going out to Mullaghmore one evening to collect this bicycle, and I lived in Lammy. I wasn't married or nothing, and living in Lammy, and my mother left me out to collect this bicycle. I was doing a charity cycle to Dromore and back the next day, and I'd been doing plenty of running. I thought this will be no bother. Flip me. Hey, I cycled from Mullaghmore. It was a good job I actually lifted the bike, because I cycled from Mullaghmore to Lammy and I was wrecked. I thought I'm going to have to take a bit of a different view to this thing in the morning. Like I have to cycle to Dromore.
This was a different experience of riding a bike.
Cycle the whole way to Dromore, and then I'm going to have to cycle the whole way home again for this charity thing, So, I think it was the challenge. Okay, I think the challenge of not being able to swim, but still wanting to do a triathlon. Now, I never intended anything more than that. I thought if I can get a triathlon done, I knew nothing about triathlon, didn't know anything about distances or anything like that at all. I knew very, very little about it. So I think it was just the challenge of learning how to swim and overcoming that. I had no fear of the water. I was quite lucky in that respect. A lot of people have a fear of the water, which they have to overcome first of all. And I have great respect for people like that.
Absolutely.
That I know people that have had a real bad fear of the water. And they've overcome that to get into the water first of all, and then learn to swim, and then do triathlon.
Yes, so there's a 3-pronged obstacle thing.
So I had no fear of the water at all. So I think it was just a challenge basically, and thinking probably that obviously back to the bike, the 2 wheels, a bit of speed, staying away from the motorbikes, but the speed of the bike rather than just the running or the swimming, if you know what I mean. You had this sort of race mode thing as one of the elements of triathlon.
Yes,
sort of was attractive to me.
There is something there's something about the bike. For me, I would have been adrenaline junkie, and over the years I've done a lot of wacky things. You know what I mean? I've done the bungee jumps and the abseiling and the whitewater canoeing. I think I've done 5 skydives.
Very good.
BMX days back in the day, skateboards, ramps, jumping off stuff, climbing trees. There's something about the bike, that kind of brings that wee spark to you, that element of. This is not danger as such, but there's a thrill to be had.
There's a thrill, there's a buzz, there is an adrenaline. As I said earlier on, it's very difficult to replace the motorbike racing, but the likes of triathlon and the biking, I did a bit of bike racing as well with the Oma Wheelers and time trialing and that comes probably as close as it's going to get for me
Yeah.
From the motorbikes, if you know what I mean. You know, you'll never ever get the buzz of the motorbikes, but it's as close as it's going to get. So there's that wee element of that in there with the biking, if that makes sense.
It does, absolutely, yeah. And that was so you're bringing everything together there.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
So what age are you then, or where are you at whenever you do your very first triathlon? Was it Lane Ball? Was it
Lane Ball? Lane Ball.
It's coming up soon.
Now that time Lane Ball was a different. It wasn't a sprint. They had two different swim options.
Right.
So the first year I did it, the bike and run were the same, but they had it was 40 lengths. The pool was a kilometre, 1k in the pool, or 1.2k. So they had a 40 length option and a 48 length option within the pool. And then the bike was 32 kilometres, 20 mile.
Right.
He cycled out of still Templemore. It is Templemore you call that leisure centre, isn't it?
I think so.
I think it is Templemore. So he cycled out to Buncrana, round the first roundabout that you come to at Buncrana, right round the roundabout and back, straight back in again. It was the full 20 mile or 32 kilometres. And then it was an 8 kilometre, which is 5 mile, run off-road on grass round the grass pitches and different things right round the whole of the Templemore leisure centre. So did the 40 lengths the first time, and then the next couple of years I did the 48. I got to the stage that I was doing the 40, did the full, what we call the full Lane Ball triathlon.
That's interesting, because you know, I suppose I'm sitting here now thinking my initial thought is that's a beefy enough triathlon for someone to be tackling on their very first triathlon.
Yeah.
Whenever you think about the options that are available to us nowadays, you've got your sprints and super sprints and God knows what. I think there's maybe 3 different types of sprints. They've broken them down into that sort of thing.
No, there was nothing less than a sprint at that time. But because the Lane Ball triathlon was sort of so like it was quite famous, and probably still is. Like it was quite a popular triathlon, and probably still is at this stage. Quite a popular triathlon.
Yeah.
There was a lot of talk. A lot of people around the town would have known the Lane Ball. A lot of people, even lads that worked and went to the leisure centre, would have done the Lane Ball triathlon and nothing else, no other triathlons. You know, so you've got a lot of local people heading down to do that one. But it's probably been the closest one available at that time. Like we're going back 20 years, like at that stage now. You know, when this all started for me. So it was a big thing then, and I suppose I never thought anything of wanting to do something smaller. There didn't seem to be much shorter or any shorter distances other than a sprint distance. Yeah. But the next sprint I think mightn't have been till maybe June or July or whatever. So wanted to get one done as early as possible in the year, and so we decided on this one. So 40 lengths in the water.
40 lengths is not to be sniffed at.
No, it was a good starter out for that.
So day one, Peter Skeffington rocks up to the leisure centre, hoping that he's going to get to the bottom end of the pool. Yeah. And in the back of your mind, you're thinking, 40 lengths? I'm doing 40 lengths. That's why I'm here.
I have 40 lengths to do here. Once I get to 40 there, but it sort of broke it down, you know, at the start. After obviously the lessons with the leisure centre and Patricia or whatever. I started off swimming a length, and then 2 lengths, and I swam 2 lengths and stopped, and then 4 lengths. I got to stage 4 lengths and stopped. Kept going. I got then 8 lengths and stopped. And I was on one night, and I was able to do 16 lengths, and I got to the stage I was doing 4 16s, which was the mile, but I was stopping after 16 lengths. And I was going down one evening and I thought to myself, I wonder if I didn't stop, because I can do 16 lengths, and if I can do 16 lengths, why can I not do 20? And if I can do 20, can I not do 24? And that, I went down this one evening as I was going down to the leisure centre. This is what came into my head, and I went in that night and I swam 40 lengths without stopping, and I thought, I can do it. And
therein, I suppose, lies the importance of the mindset, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, the mind is 60 or 70% of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. There's yes, you have to train and yes, you have to be fit, whatever. But the mind is the biggest stumbling block or the biggest advantage that anyone has to do something that they want to do.
Uh-huh.
I've read the thing. I've said it to many as a person. If you want to do something, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse.
One of my favourite quotes.
Yeah.
And that's a clanker.
Yeah.
And there's nowhere to hide from it.
No.
It makes you own it.
Yeah.
If you're not, if you want it, you'll get it.
Yeah.
But don't.
When I was listening to, as you know, I walk to work and I walk home, and I would listen to the radio stations when I'm walking quite a bit. And I was listening to, I was saying this to Shannon the other night. I was walking home. Shannon would come down, my daughter would come down evenings there to me and walk home. And I was saying it to Shannon the other evening when I was walking home. I was listening to Gary and Glenn on Downtown Radio, and they talk a lot of stuff there in the mornings. And a couple of weeks ago, Gary says to Glenn about he wanted to go back to the gym and he was going to try and work out. And he was asking people's advice. Now, I didn't ring in because I hadn't. Once I got to work, I hadn't the time to ring in. But he was asking people's advice as to how do you work it in. How do you get to the stage where you can get consistently going to the gym or whatever. And if I had a bit through them, I was going to say to them, you don't get to that stage, you've got to schedule it in.
Mm-hmm.
If you say to yourself, I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to go running, or I'm going to do something 2 days a week, you'll not do it.
No.
But if you say to yourself, I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to go for a run on a Tuesday and a Thursday after work, you'll do it. You've got to lock it in.
Yeah.
You've got to lock it in, and that's it. Or if it's Tuesday, Thursday and a Saturday, if you're going to do 3 times, if you lock it in and you say, straight after work or Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, this is what I'm going to do. But if you say, I'll do it 3 times a week or 2 times a week, and it doesn't have to be a Monday and a Wednesday and a Friday, whatever day suits, no day suits.
That's right. Because you're unable to identify any day that suits it, and if you're leaving it as loose as that, you're not.
Something always happens that it'll not suit, or you'll feel tired, or this, that, or the other. But if you lock it in, it'll work.
That's a clanker. That's sound advice.
Yeah.
100%. I think that's one of the things that makes joining a club so important.
Yeah.
And we're very lucky here in Oma, and you've been involved in the Oma Triathlon Club for many a year.
From the founder,
you're
one of the founder members. Yeah.
Tell us how that came about.
Well, Sean Healy had always said that whenever he'd retire, like Sean was a teacher, so whenever he'd retire, he would like to have started a triathlon club, So he did retire then, and nothing really was talked about or whatever, but we had been involved obviously in different clubs throughout our times, like Sean with football clubs and Harriers, and I had been involved with the Stool Dolphins as a parent and whatever, and different things and different organisations and things like that, and Sean still talked about we had done Ironman in 2008 in Austria. Myself, Sean and Connor had done Ironman in Austria, and the following year then it was met up with Sean on Saturday for a cup and a chat in the Sandwich Co. And Sean said about the club, and he says, should we go for this? We have a good wee group going here. We'd started to train for Roth for 2010. There was a group going from around the town here, a group of us of 9 or 10 of us, going to do Roth, the Ironman in Roth, or Challenge Roth, as it is the Ironman distance. So Sean brought up this talk of the triathlon club, and he says, what do you think, should we do it? Could we do it? And could we run a club? And I said to Sean, I don't know if we can run the club or not, but I said, we've been involved in enough clubs, we've seen enough things done wrong. I says, we mightn't know how to run a club right, but we know how not to run it. There are certain elements of things that we've been in clubs that we've been involved in that we thought weren't right. I says, we know how not to run it. I said, if we start with that, if we start with knowing or not doing the things that we don't want to do, I says, if we're honest with everybody and everybody knows exactly what we're supposed to do, transparency with everything that we're doing, and we welcome everyone into the club, no matter who it is, whatever abilities or whatever anybody can do. If we go with that and we start with that, hopefully that'll continue. And thankfully that has. You know, unfortunately the first year we didn't get a lot of development with the club done. We started the club in November 2009 was the official date. 2010 we all had already signed up to do this Challenge Roth in July 2010, and we were already at 70-80 mile on the bike at this stage at the beginnings training. So we didn't really have a lot of development the first year because you couldn't bring newcomers or beginners in and expect them to come out with you.
Jump onto a 70 mile.
A 70 or 80 mile cycle, you know, at this stage,
yes.
You know, and especially then after Christmas, obviously you were building up. So the first year, most of 2010, you know, we got a few people in and stuff, joined the club and whatever. Most of 2010 was a bit of a write-off as regards club development. But once we got the Ironman over in July that year, we started then to focus big time, and it took off from there. And, you know, we welcomed people that we didn't know into the club, kept making sure everything was okay with them and all, and then a wee while later those people weren't the newcomers anymore. There was other newcomers came, so these people did the same thing.
Carried that mantle onwards, yeah.
And so on and so on. And to this day, that's still the same.
It absolutely is. It really is. And, you know, the amount of people that we have seen coming through the club, and the progression that they're making is unreal.
Yeah.
And I know myself, I've been speaking to a couple of people who have since joined the club and that are still actively involved in the club, who were very worried and concerned about their own ability, to the point where they were doubting themselves on a certain level about, I'm not good enough to be joining a club like that. And I asked them why, and they said, well, I was at the leisure centre on Monday night and I was up and I happened to have a wee look into the pool, and it was just, there was people bombing up and down the pool, and there would be no way my swim would be strong enough. I guess in a way similar to you, and it's one of the things that a lot of people will say is about their swim. So I asked that particular person to come back the following Monday, and instead of looking at the overall big picture of the pool, I asked her to look at lane 1 on the far side and just watch what's going on in lane 1. And then they were saying, well, I could do that.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm a wee bit better than that.
Yeah.
So I could maybe even jump. I said, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so the thing does continue today, whereby everybody or anybody that wants to give it a go is more than welcome to come along and give it a go.
Yeah.
The thing that I love about the club is that sense of camaraderie and the support.
Yeah.
Whenever I was out on the run in Ironman in Cork, and it was a long run for me, and it was a long walk, and being frankly honest with my hamstring, the members of the club who rallied around me and were out there and supporting me and videoing me and rearing up or jeering up the crowd and, you know, carrying on, phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a fantastic club. Fantastic club, but and any club, as you know, is only as good as the members. We have and always have had fantastic members in the club. You know, when you talk about the swimming and that there, you know, and like Shane McGill's a fantastic swimmer. But whenever I met, like, I know Shane was years and years and years from World Cup, like, but whenever I was in swimming, Shane would have come in swimming into the leisure centre, and Shane would have come to the pool, brilliant swimmer even then. But would have swam one length front crawl and one length breaststroke. Yeah. So I'd said to Shane about doing a triathlon. No, couldn't do that. You know, I swam one length of front crawl and I swam a length of breaststroke. I said, well, you could do that anyway. That wouldn't matter. I said, but why don't you swim 2 lengths of front crawl and 1 length breaststroke and do that for a while, and then swim 3 lengths of front crawl and one length breaststroke. So as far as I'm aware, that's what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And from there on, then, like, he had no problem with swimming. He didn't have to learn to swim at that stage. Like, you know, he was probably a swimmer from he was a child. You know, so even someone looking at how good a swimmer Shane is, Shane needed a wee bit of encouragement as well to continue with the front crawl rather than alternating.
Yeah.
Alternating was no problem.
Uh-huh.
Chris Gallagher has a brilliant breaststroke, or Chris Gallagher would have always breaststroke any triathlon that he did.
That's right, yeah.
So he did. But Shane was so good at both strokes, it just seemed a pity for him not to try to concentrate a wee bit more on the front crawl.
And I'll tell you what, if you're out in open water doing a long swim, you'd be quite glad of the breaststroke if you need a wee breather.
You need a breather. You know, we all know that Shane's a sub 1 hour Ironman swimmer. Like, you know, he has broken there on a few occasions for Ironman swim. Like,
yeah,
you know, so anyone coming in and looking to see what's been done in the pool for Oma Triathlon Club anyway. You know, we all started somewhere. You know, most people in triathlon aren't from a swimming background.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, and the swim is the toughest part of the whole thing for any of us, or most of us.
Yeah.
There are a few people, you know, you have a few exceptions, like, but even take Kathy Cunningham.
Mm-hmm.
Kathy came to the club just wanting to swim because she's a swim background.
Uh-huh.
And I said, that's grand, Kathy, no problem. Come and swim.
Come and
in
swim.
the back of my head, I was thinking, we'll get you into triathlon at some stage, like, you know, and sure, like, the rest is history. With
picking up national titles,
left, right, and centre for years.
Unreal.
You know, so, but that's, as you say, it's the encouragement that comes from the club and the members that's just invaluable.
It absolutely is. Yeah. Peter, we'll have a wee break. We'll listen to some music, and then we'll have a wee chat then about your Ironman journey.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Peter, that song was The Flight of Icarus. You probably have never heard such nonsense. But I'll tell you why I picked that song. You're probably familiar with the story of Icarus. He's the guy who made the wings out of wax and feathers, and he was told by the wise old man not to go too close to the sun, because if he flew too close to the sun, the wax would melt and he would fall to the earth. Of course he did.
Yeah.
But this song is the song that I kind of had in my head after I had that conversation with you up in Lochcorey. Because the advice that you gave me was, take your time all day long.
Yeah.
And what I read into that was, because you had said if you push too much in the swim, you're going to be gassed on the bike. And if you give her too much juice on the bike, you're not going to be able to do the run.
Yeah.
You'll do what you can do. Your body will do what it can do.
Yeah.
But take your time all day long. So I didn't want to be like Icarus.
Yeah.
I didn't want to push for the sun and get burnt and crash and burn. So that's why I picked that song.
Oh, very good. Very good. Aye.
So that leads us on to the
I've
Iron.
given that advice to a lot of people over the years, to be fair.
I think you have. And it's genuinely got me around Ironman.
Yeah.
You know, whenever I was pre-race, especially the night before, thinking about the task that lay ahead the next day, I didn't get much bloody sleep anyway because of the wind and whatnot. But that was the thing, you know. I've got a long time to do it, and you told me that it was doable.
Yeah.
And you had told me that I would do it, but that I would only do it if I paid the right, if I played the cards right. As such, you know, don't be pushing, don't be going beyond your thing. It's the first time doing it. Get yourself to that finish line and enjoy the fact that you've achieved that. So that's what I've done. So I want to personally thank you for that, because it genuinely resonated with me now, and I have since passed that information on to others.
You're very welcome. Let me tell you, it's good advice for anyone, no matter what level anybody wants to do. Well, not just Ironman, but you know, a triathlon or a marathon or a half marathon or anything at all. Yeah. You know, what's in your body will come out of it. I'll not dwell on this bit here, but I gave that advice to two different guys who didn't really know going to Barcelona. In Barcelona, I did the Ironman Barcelona in 2012, and myself, Aidan Borchers and Connor and Etta, and Aidan and Connor were going back in 2013 along with another lad from over here who lives in Belfast called Shane Quinn. Don't know if you know Shane or not.
I do. He was in my class at school.
Oh, there you are. Well, Shane lives in Belfast, but Shane was going over as well. So we decided, myself and Geraldine decided we would go over. I wasn't doing it. We'd go over and we'd have a holiday. It was a lovely place, Calella, just outside Barcelona. Lovely area of Spain. So we decided we'd go over and make a wee holiday out of it and support and do whatever. So we're standing in Dublin Airport waiting to get on the plane, and this guy was behind me, and I had a triathlon t-shirt on me, and the guy says, "You going over to Barcelona?" I said, "No." And he says, "Are you doing it?" I says, "No, I done it last year, but I said, not doing it this year. There's a few guys in the club doing it, and we're just going over to support." And he says, "Any advice?" he says, "for a first timer?" And I says, "Yeah." He says, "What?" I says, "Take your time all day." And he looked at me, and he says, "That'll not get me sub 10 hours. And I says, "Then wait, I tell you something." I says, "If sub 10 hours is in your body, that will get you sub 10 hours. No," he says, "I'm only joking." He says, "But I would like it to be 10 something, even if it's 10:59. That's what I would like it to be." I said, "Well, if there's 10:59 in your body, if you take your time all day, you will get 10:59. You will get 10 something." I says, "If you do that." So I was fine. Off the plane we got, and we went into the hotel, and there was another guy in the hotel, in the same hotel, and he was over to do his first, and he had been trained by someone here, I'm not going to name names, and he asked me the same advice. Now, this guy was a top triathlete in Ireland at the time. Won races like Olympic distance, sprint distances, and that. He was a winner, like. And he asked for a bit of advice, and I gave him the same advice, and he was totally against this. This isn't what his coach had told him to do. I said, "Look, don't go against what your coach told you to do." I said, don't take my advice over your coach's advice." I said, "But that's my advice. I've done 3. I said, "And I'm nowhere near your level." I said, "So you do what you've been coached to do." I said, "What are you hoping for?" And he says, 9:45. I says, "Well, if 9:45 is in your body and you pace it right, you'll get 9:45. So I was fine. Went and done the event, on the Sunday. And the same guy that was there for 9:45, I actually ended up running bits and pieces with him, buying him bars of chocolate and stuff, because he was goosed on the run. And he ended up with still a fantastic time, don't get me wrong. Any time in an Ironman's a fantastic time. If you finish an Ironman, it's a fantastic achievement, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. And he ended up with 11 hours 10 because he raced it. Okay. But the guy that I met at Dublin Airport, I was walking through the wee town that we were in, Calella, and heard this horn blowing, and I thought, nobody knows me here. Next thing, this car pulled up beside me on the Monday. Right. Wandered down, shouting out, he says, "It was your man from," I think he was from Limerick. And he says, thanks for the advice, best advice I ever got." I says, "Seriously?" And he says, "I took your advice, you got 10 hours 10. There you are. So that's two ends of the spectrum, I thought, of someone who took the advice, someone who didn't, whatever. But no matter what level, if you're going in to just finish it in under 17 hours, or if someone's going for a sub 10 or a sub 11 or whatever the case may be, if you've trained, if your body's fit to do a certain time, if you've trained for that and your body's fit for it, if you have manners and you pace it properly and you take your time all day, you'll get out of your body what's in it. You'll get it? Yeah. Yeah. It's unreal. I mean, it's such simple advice, but it makes so much sense. Yeah. You know, because you're if you do it that way and you're honest and true to yourself, you can't go wrong. No. You'll get to the line. Yeah. Yeah. And you'll have a really, really true reflection of where you're at. But I think what it also helps, it certainly helped with me, but I assume
that it also takes out the self-doubt and the negative mindset, and I'm not going hard enough, I'm not going fast enough, and I need to pick it up now for this next mile, and there's a hill coming, so I have to attack, and you know, when you're in a more relaxed mindset, surely that's bound to be the best place.
Definitely.
When you're playing that long game.
Yeah. And that is a long game.
It is. It's a long game.
It is a long game. Sean Healy gave me a great bit of advice before I did my first half Ironman. My first half Ironman was the Lost Sheep in Kenmare. And Sean he knew me well, knows me well, and he knew rightly when I would get out of the water. Like my race never started in any triathlon until I got out of the water. I just relaxed in the water because I'm not a speed swimmer.
Yeah.
So relax in the water, get out of the water, race starts once you get on the bike.
Same as myself.
That's the way I've always done it. And he knew when I get out onto the bike, people would be going past me on the bike, that I would say, right, head down, and I would try and stay with them. He says, Peter, don't stay with them. Do your own pace. He says, because see the people that are passing you on the bike in the early miles of a half Ironman or an Ironman or whatever, they're in one of two categories. They're either faster and fitter than you and you not catch them anyway. You don't even wreck yourself by trying to stay with them.
Yeah.
Or they're going too fast and you catch them later on. And I always remember that. And I remember coming out of transition, getting on the bike and heading out the road out towards what do you call it? Now you end up in Glengarriff. I can't remember the wee name of the wee town. As you head out, it's about 14 mile out before you turn off to the left. To head up Healy Pass, actually. Aptly named. Sean Healy.
Right, yeah.
But I remember heading out there and these boys were flying past me. And I took note of a couple of them, just sort of conscious note of a couple of them. And later on in the cycle I did catch them. And I'll always remember Sean telling me that they're in one of two categories. That could be the same for anything. That can be the same for a half marathon. If you get the first mile and you felt that you've run maybe the first mile too quick, which you generally do.
Yeah.
If you consciously slow it down to the pace that you know your body's able for and you're fit for, then a few people go on, take a wee note of a couple of people that maybe stand out and see if you catch them later on their own.
That's what I did in Omaha this year. I did. Coming up past mile 7 or 8, I knew there was hills ahead of me, and I slowed it down, consciously slowed it down, because I was wild tempted to give it a wee push, because it was a slight downhill.
Yeah.
I thought I could maybe, but the damage that shaving 15 seconds off that mile would have had for the rest, because I had still 5 miles to do. Wasn't worth it, and I finished with my PB strong, and I was happy.
There you are. So longer distance, like sprints, or sprint triathlon is red line the whole way. There's just no let up on it, and there's nothing you can do. You have to do that. But the longer distances, I always found them much more enjoyable, because you do have a bit of time to let yourself ease into things and take it a bit more cautiously. It's far more enjoyable. But that's the same. It's the same advice for half marathon, or a 10k, or a marathon, or a triathlon, like a half Ironman or an Ironman or whatever. The advice is generally the same. Just take your time.
Take your time. It's just lovely advice. It really is. It's unreal.
Yeah.
And you can maybe even transfer that advice to lots of things. Even outside of sport.
Yeah.
If we would all just maybe slow down a wee bit now and again, and just take time to look around us and spend time with our wains a wee bit more, and less time on the TV and the phones. That's good stuff. You talked earlier there, when you say I'm just picking up on what you said there about your triathlon starts when you're on the bike, and that resonates with me, because I'm the same in that I'm comfortable with my swim. I know there's probably a lot more in me in terms of my ability to swim, and there's probably better things I could. There absolutely is better things. I don't think there's a perfect swimmer exists, but I don't like pushing it in the swim. And my thinking behind it is that my default pace is a relaxed pace. I've got my 1, 2, 3 breathe, 1, 2, 3 breathe thing that goes on. and I'm able to maintain it, and I come out of the water and I'm not too gassed.
Yeah.
And then we start,
Yeah. See, I agree with that. I agree with you on that. Because, and funny, I was chatting to a guy in Lidl this morning, and I was talking to him. He's coming into triathlon from a very, very, very strong biker. Very strong, professional or semi-professional. He's coming into sort of triathlon. And running and cycling, there's not a lot of rocket science to it. If you run more, you don't get injured, you'll get quicker, you'll get fitter and you'll get quicker. If you bike more, you'll get stronger, you'll get quicker. That doesn't necessarily follow through for swimming. Swimming's very technical. So the more swimming you do doesn't necessarily make you quicker, but the one thing you want it to do, people think that progress within triathlon means that you have to get faster and faster and faster, right?
Yes.
But swimming's slightly different. In my mind, I could be wrong, there could be plenty of people out there who will tell me now that I'm wrong in this, but in my mind, and I think this has always worked for me, my sprint, to go for the sprint distance, right? My sprint distance triathlon swim was always in around 12 and a half to 13 minutes. Now, I never got any quicker than that. But what I did do was I was able to come out of the water more refreshed. There was one event years ago, Mullaghmore Triathlon, which taught me a big lesson. I thought to myself, I'm ready to race this swim, and I'm going to race this race from start to finish. So I got into the water with this notion in my head that I'm going to race this swim, I'm going to race the bike, race the run. I come out of the water slower, so that there was and far less energy for the bike. You can make a lot of progress in your swimming by being at the same pace but being more efficient in the water.
Exactly.
And if you're more efficient in the water, even though you're not faster, you're more efficient in the water, you're getting out onto the bike and you haven't expended as much energy in the water, so you're fresher for the bike, which leaves you fresher for the run. Your bike time will be better, but you still haven't wrecked yourself on the bike either. Because if you come out of the water gasping, you're chasing the rest of the event. There's nothing, you can't come back from that.
I know what you mean.
There was an article years ago, whenever we were training for our first Ironman, there was an article years ago about, I think it was Triathlon 220, this guy with a pint of water, and he says, that pint of water needs to last you your whole Ironman. So if your swim is only 10% of the whole distance of your Ironman, you only need to drink 10% of that pint of water. If you drink 30% of that pint of water, you've used too much energy. You've drunk too much water. It only leaves you 70% for the rest of the event. You probably use 50% of it or more on the bike. You've only got 20-30% left for the run, which is not enough. So you need to class it like a pint of water. So you need to be coming out of the water very, very relaxed to get on the bike.
See, this is why I wanted you on the podcast, because I knew there would be some nuggets, and that is a clinker.
Yeah.
That is, one of the things that I find whenever I'm swimming is that firstly, I love swimming. I just love the open water swim particularly, and there's nothing as free in my mind as being in the middle of Loch Macquarie. Even by myself, outside of a club swim, just in the middle of the loch on a lovely summer's day, at eye level, looking at the trees and the blue sky. It's an amazing thing to be able to do. And I do not want that to be spoiled.
No.
But whenever I'm in the pool and I'm pushing for, we do 25s and we're doing speed drills and whatnot, I do participate in them, and I understand them, and I get them, and I agree with them. I don't really enjoy them. Now, if I'm in a sprint triathlon, I'll do the same pace as I would in a half Ironman. Because I think that the minute I start to think about speed, my form goes to pot. So I'm now swimming in a different mindset than what I'm used to swimming in. Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense.
It does.
Because my natural stroke isn't bad.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm finishing down here at the thigh and my fingertips, wrist, elbows, going, I'm getting all those wee bits and bobs in. But the minute I start thinking, right, go, and I start increasing my cadence, my arm positions are going out the left, my heart rate's up, my natural breathing rhythms knocked out. I'm taking snapshot breaths out instead of nice, lazy, relaxed, deeper breaths in. And for what? 30 seconds on a sprint. But as you say, I've used up so much fuel, and that's that. You know, and then so for me, it's not worth it because I've got so much improvement space to make on the bike and the run that for me to put the effort into the swim is kind of it's
pointless.
It's a wee bit silly, I think, for me personally.
Yeah, I'm the same. And now, obviously, other people will be different. Mm-hmm. You know, the likes of Kathy Cunningham, who's a swimmer, she'll make up a lot of time in the swim, but she's not using the energy that we would use to try to do something like that.
Because her technique is just, I mean, it's like hot knife through butter. Yeah. You know, it's
Adrian McKinney is the same.
McKinney.
Shane McGill. You know, Conor Nettle's a fantastic swimmer. Always was. Very relaxed. You know, so there are a few, like there are people who can make the time up in the swim, but they're not using the energy that the likes of us, who are maybe not I don't want to classify you the same as me, but I'm definitely not a natural swimmer. You know,
but
never was, but I can swim.
I think one of the things for me, and I don't know, I'd be interested to get your take on it, is the idea of keeping the tempo, the idea of a solid stroke rate. Yeah. And I kind of draw the analogy to the Cambridge and Oxford rowing, where you don't, them guys are doing this 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, you know, they're maintaining this rhythm that isn't necessarily representative of the speed of these canoes that are bombing across the surface of the water. So in my head they're going, well, you know, so you don't have to be going like the hammers. No. The speed will come and come and come and come as long as that rhythm keeps hitting, and each of those strokes is doing what it's supposed to be doing, and in that it's propelling you forward efficiently. The speed will build and build and build and build. But the minute you start interfering with that, then you've started to scupper it. Yeah. Does that make sense?
It does. It definitely does. Yeah. Makes sense to me, anyway.
So we're connecting on that. There's probably a few people listening that'll be thinking, nah, I don't know about that. And that's cool.
What works for one won't work for everyone. Mm-hmm. You know, so there might be a few people listening that maybe would think, that might work for me. You know, so...
Well... What about your open water swim then? We've talked about the pool swims.
Open water was a bit of a baptism of fire for me, to be fair. The first open water triathlon was Camloch in 2006, and entered it and didn't think much of it, to be honest with you. But the week beforehand, Connor says to me, "Have you a wetsuit?" And I go, "No, I haven't actually."
Right.
So he says, "Damien has a spare wetsuit. I'll see if he can lend it to you." So Connor's brother Damien lent me the wetsuit. And I'd never been in open water before, never swam in open water. I'd been in the sea and stuff, footing about and messing about, but never swam in the sea or lake or anything. So Connor, he landed to our house on the Thursday evening. Now this race or this event's on the Saturday. People would always like to call them races, but this event's on the Saturday. Connor lands to the house on Thursday evening with this wetsuit. He says to me, "Right, jump in, we're going to Oak Lake, top of the lanes." I said, "Right, okay." So then I got up to Oak Lake, put on the wetsuit, got into the water, freezing, couldn't see a hit. So he says, "Sight for that boy." No, there was another boy. There's a ring. There used to be. I don't know if it's still there or not.
A lifeguard,
life support ring or whatever. Far side. He says, "Lift your head now and again and look over and make sure you're swimming for that thing over there."
This is 3 days out. This is
Thursday night. Camloch's on Saturday morning.
And your open water training has just started.
So I says, "Right, okay." So into the water I get. So I swam, looked up. Oh no, I couldn't see the damn thing. And the next thing I looked across to my left, and here it was swimming completely off, away from where I was supposed to be swimming. Swam over to it, and I swam back, got out. And Connor, he got out. He was over and back a couple of times, I think, before I got out. Back once. And he says, right, you going again? I said, no, that'll do me. And he goes, you sure? And I said, that's enough. I says, that'll do for Saturday. So heads off to Camlock on Saturday, and I was in the second wave, taking off in the second wave. And watched the first wave, watched what they done and all the rest, and I thought, right, boys were in the first wave with the guys, everybody was in the first wave. And they were in the water, and they got acclimatised to the water, and they were maybe in maybe 5 minutes or more before the gun went. So I thought, right, so I lands in, and I was watching, and I sort of had a wee plan in my head because it was a triangle, a clockwise triangle. You swam out to a buoy, crossed another one back to where you were. It was clockwise, right? So you were turning right at each buoy. So as I got into the water, I wanted to be to the left, so it was the outside. I didn't want to be clampered into the middle and watch and getting caught at this first buoy. So as I got into the water, this was sort of conscious in my head, but I was in the water fairly quickly, fairly early. And a lot of people come in behind me. I think there was 100 and something people in this wave, starting this second wave. And just realised that, I'm too close to the right hand side, I don't want to be here. I want to make my way to the left hand side. So I was near enough the front of the wave, like.
Okay.
So I thought, that last wave had plenty of time, so I'll make my way across here now to the. So I was making my way across, bouncing across in the water, bouncing across to the, trying to get to the very outside that I thought was the left hand side. Now you can, if you can picture this, I'm doing this at the very front of the swim wave, the people in the wave, and I'm about dead centre of the thing when the gun went.
Oh Jesus!
And everybody took off, and I had to start swimming. And I got battered and banged. My head was under the water. I was above. I was bubbling. I was hyperventilating. And you see, within about 100 metres, I was ready to pull out. And it just wasn't working.
It's a shock to the system whenever you find yourself in that, isn't it?
Funny. And I was up and down, and I was swallowing gulps of water, and I was being pushed underneath the water, and I was being slapped in the head, I was being slapped in the back. Eventually made it to the first buoy. When I got to the first buoy, I sort of swam on past the buoy to get out of the madness.
Yeah.
I got out of there and out of the madness and stopped for a few seconds to gather my breath and let a few people go, and I swam on the outside, and I saw the second buoy. So I heads off towards the second buoy, swam towards the second buoy, still sort of half hyperventilating and heart rate flat out, like.
Yeah.
And still not able, breathing wasn't great, it wasn't under control at all. Got to the second buoy and turned right, heading for the finish line of the swim, and eventually settled and relaxed for the third part of it. And most of the people were gone at this stage, like, so I might have been last, but I wasn't far off it probably. But so sort of relaxed a bit in the last section of it, back in the last couple of 100 metres back in. But that was my baptism of fire into open water triathlon.
Aye, and it can be quite the experience.
Aye.
And that's one of the other reasons in my head, the importance of maintaining that relaxed stroke.
Yeah.
Because if there is a situation where you find yourself in a choppy situation, or you will just naturally find yourself in, particularly coming to a buoy where people are trying to get in close, and you're going to get people that maybe hit you by mistake or nudge into you or go over the top of you or whatever. You need to have that presence of mind to say, like, just, this is fine. All I have to do is hold my breath, let this pass, I'll come back up the other side. So trying to maintain that relaxed sort of mindset.
Yeah.
Because if you're stuck in a frenzy, it's like
important.
It's like being at the front of a Metallica concert. That, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're out of the water. Let's move to the bike.
The bike.
Tell me about Challenge Roth and the infamous hill in Roth. What, that must have been some experience, or was it as big back then? I'm sure it was.
Oh, definitely. That's Roth, the Solerberg, as far as I remember it's called, and you do it twice. You do 2 laps. It brings you the Tour de France experience, basically.
Yeah.
As you're going up Solerberg, there's a very, very narrow channel, and people are standing on each side, and it does literally open up. The people are all over the road. Now it is quite steep, and it's only about maybe half a mile long. It's only maybe 800 metres or whatever. It's only about half a mile long, but it is quite steep, and you are out of the saddle. But you're out of the saddle and you're side to side, and you maybe have like a footpath, like a decent width of a footpath's width, where the cyclists are going up. It wouldn't be easy, you couldn't really pass anybody on it as such.
Yeah.
But as you're going up it, you can't see the road at all. Everybody's just standing across the road, the same as the Tour de France, and then they just open up to let you cycle up past them. It's a fantastic experience, absolutely fantastic, something I'll never forget. Great experience.
Kind of in my head, I've got visions. I don't know what way my brain's wired today, like, but it kind of sounds like a nature program where there's a big fish going through a shoal of fish, and the shoal are just parting as the big fish is cruising through. So
that's exactly
the crowd's getting out of your way.
Exactly what it was like, and it was the same in both laps. Because I think the second time I commented, you're somewhere between 75 and 80 mile on the bike. In the second run, because as I commented, it was just catching up with Mark Kelly. I don't know if you know Mark or not. Mark would have been with us years and years ago, even sort of before the club formed. Mark I haven't been talking to him in a while, but Mark lived in Belfast, but would have come down here. He was originally Kelly Chopperman, and I remember coming into the town before we turned left, and I just caught up with Mark on the bike, and the two of us went up sort of one. He said to me, "Go you on," but there's a photograph somewhere of me and him going up the hill, him just right behind me, the two of us climbing over. Fantastic.
You know, even whenever you, and it's lovely to be in the room with you and seeing your facial expressions as you're recounting that, like, you know, and you can see you can see yourself reliving it, you know, and it's such an iconic thing to be able to do that, and to be able to, you know, it's a lovely thing to be able to say, you know, I did that.
Aye. You forget about things, you know. You do sort of forget, you know.
Just in that moment, do you know what I mean? You know, you can. We will talk about Ironman, and we talk about Ironman all the time, but there's those wee special moments within it. You know, there was one of the most loveliest things that happened to me whenever I was training for Ironman, and I came back down to the house and I was like a child on Christmas morning. I was absolutely buzzing and just elated with joy, and my wife Cleona had said to me, you know, "You're in a good mood, you must have had a good swim this morning," and I couldn't wait to tell her. And it was the most ridiculous thing, but I'll tell you what it was. Whenever I was swimming, I took my head out of the water to the right-hand side. I normally breathe to the right. And as my arm was coming over, the sun was rising beyond the trees, and the sunlight hit a couple of the droplets of water that were falling off my hand as my arm was arcing past my eyesight within a snapshot of a second. And they were like diamonds in the sky as such.
Where was this? Where was this in?
Loch McCrory. And there was nobody else there. It was like 6:15 a.m. And it was just the most loveliest thing. It's just this wee special, wee private moment of just purity. It was just unreal.
Best time of the day as well.
Phenomenal.
I'm an early bird. Best time of the day.
So how many Ironman have you done then?
I've done 3. Done 3. I did Austria in 2008, Roth in 2010, and Barcelona in 2012.
And I know there's no such thing. They're all very, very different, and even the same events very, very different from one year to the next with conditions and whatnot. Do you have a preference of those 3, or would you?
No, equally. I'll be honest, they were equally as enjoyable and equally as brutal as each other, if you want to put it like that. I suppose Austria will always have a special place in my heart because it was the first. We organised a family holiday around it. It came about because even though I was doing triathlon, I hadn't really heard of Ironman and hadn't a clue really what Ironman was till maybe 18 months before we actually went to did Austria. Boys were on about Ironman, that's an Ironman, and I thought, it's not even doable. Like, you know, God never intended the human body to do something like that whenever I did hear what it was, you know. So it wasn't something that was on my radar at all. And we were on holidays, myself and Geraldine and 2 kids were on holidays in 2007 in the south of England, and I got this phone call from Connor, and they had been to Groomsport the day before to do the half Ironman in Groomsport, and of course they'd met up with Fergus McGirr. Do you know Fergus? He's from Anaman.
Yeah.
They met up with Fergus McGirr, and he was buzzing and about Austria, about Ironman and this and that and all that, and I think Fergus had already done an Ironman. I think he had, maybe a couple, and got these guys, Sean and Connor, talked into considering this Ironman in Austria for the following year. So Connor, he rings me and he says, look, what do you think? He says, we're going to have to enter this because it'll sell out and whatever. And we were walking through this wee town, and I said, Jimmy, I said, boys are looking at me to go and do an Ironman. I said, I'll have to ring you back, Connor. So we had a bit of a chat about it anyway, and we were supposed to be going to Florida the next year as a family holiday.
Right.
And so I had mentioned Austria, and Callum and Shannon then were buzzing about Austria, so we decided then we would go and do this. So I rang Connor back and I said, enter me.
We're good to go.
We're good to go, enter. So as you know yourself, like Ironman from the minute you enter the Ironman, whether it's a year before or whatever it is, it takes over your head.
It does.
Even if you don't start your training for a couple of months afterwards, everything that you do from that point on, Ironman's in your head. And you can't do that on your own. You've got to have your family behind you.
Oh, without a doubt.
You know, so in fairness to Geraldine over the years, a guy went through some things like motorbike racing, like marathons and Ironman triathlons and stuff like that, and she's always been there. Like, you know, she's always been a great source of support, and has never ever, and would never ever say don't do this or don't do that, or you're not doing that. She's never ever, would never ever do that. So with the backing of Geraldine first of all, and then Callum and Shannon, and they were young at that stage. That's 17 years ago now, coming this year. It's hard to believe, you know. So with the backing, with their support and backing, then I decided, yes, we'll do this Ironman in Austria the following year. What I didn't know at the time was it was going to be on the 13th of July.
Right.
And I didn't like the number 13.
Oh dear.
So when I found out it was the 13th of July, I thought, this isn't going to work for me. But thankfully I went ahead and it did work.
It worked out.
It worked. So it did. Yeah, we've done a lot of training. We definitely done a lot of hours, a lot of effort of training. I'll always remember it was some sight in the morning of the Sunday morning. We were all standing on the man-made beach on the lake, and 2,500 athletes, and the gun goes and everybody runs to get on the one guy, and that is some sight.
That's some buzz to
That's
be
some
in.
buzz to be in.
It must be akin to the start of it's like, remember the old Zulu films? Isn't it that just everybody just go and everybody's away?
The gun goes 7 a.m. and everybody just runs. And I thought, this is something else. And I remember seeing to Owen Faulkner. Owen Faulkner asked me one time, he says, you know, about the Ironman, about that first one. And I said, before the gun went that morning, I was looking out in the water. The water was just beautiful, calm, lovely morning, absolutely beautiful morning. And I remember looking out, and I remember thinking to myself, is this thing doable? And Owen says to me, I never thought you'd have any doubts whatsoever. I said, well, that thought came into my head on that morning when I was standing before the gun went. I thought to myself, is this thing doable? But I got into the water, and I didn't rush into the water, but I got into the water, and I had the greatest swim. I'm not a lover of swimming, not unlike yourself there. I know other ones love swimming and all the rest of that. I only ever swam to do triathlons.
Right.
That was it. It was a means to an end for me. But I had the loveliest swim. I got into the water, and within a couple of slaps and stuff early on, the first maybe 10, 15, 20 metres. But for some reason, I took a sight. There was certain things that you looked at. There was a big mast thing on a mountain away in the distance.
Yeah. And
they had given us advice at the briefing and stuff. If you sight for that mast on the mountain, that'll bring you to your first buoy. thought, right, so I was sighting for this thing, right? And as I looked up after about 20 metres, there was nobody in front of me. It was just clear.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, if I swam off somewhere, everybody else is away somewhere different. So I kept swimming, didn't panic. And I swam, and I took a breath to the right, and I looked over, and there was people swimming maybe 5 metres away from me on the right.
Yeah.
And I took another few strokes, and I took a breath to the left, and there was people swimming to the left of me.
Mm-hmm.
And the next sighting I took, I looked up, and it was sort of swimming. It was like an angle into like a pyramid into a bottlenose.
Uh-huh.
But I was in the middle of this with very, very few people around me.
Lovely.
And it was fantastic, and I went the whole way like that to the first buoy. So I got the first buoy, and I was very relaxed.
So you were the only man sighted the boy, right?
Well, I don't know if I did or not, but
sounds like it.
well, I don't know. I can't say that. I
have seen that too. I would be quite good at the sighting, and I've seen people go way off.
Yeah.
And I always look up. Every 4 strokes, I'm looking up.
Yeah.
There's my boy. Down again. There's my boy. Down again. And I always do that. And I'll see people getting taken off in time, and people coming across me, and then another one coming across me, because they're following each other.
Yeah. And I had it in my head I would like to do this swim in an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so I'd allowed myself an hour and a half for the swim, and I thought, at the first buoy, turn left, and then you sighted for this big house that was sitting in the mountains, which was fine to the second buoy, and then the third buoy, you sighted for 2 flags, because Austria finishes off, I don't know if it's still the same, I'll say it probably is, because it's fantastic. It comes in with 900 metres to go. It goes into the canal,
okay.
So it sort of bottles into this canal.
Right.
And from a big lake to maybe, I'd say the canal itself is maybe 15-20 metres wide at the most, maybe not even that. So it all bottlenecks into that. But I was coming to it and was feeling really good at this stage. And for some reason, there was a guy on a mic, I'll always remember it, on the grass banking, who was commentating.
Aye.
And he was going through different languages and times and doing different things. But as I was just entering the canal, I took a breath to the left, and I heard him saying, time on the clock, 1 hour, 3 minutes. In English, obviously.
Uh-huh.
And put the head back in, and I thought, this is really doable. This is doable.
Uh-huh.
And I thought to myself, I have 900 metres to go, and I have 27 minutes to do 900 metres.
Maybe.
This is fantastic. There's no need to panic here, no need to up the pace or anything. I got out of the water in 1 hour, 18 minutes, 55 seconds, or 49 seconds, maybe, or something like that. And I thought, I done the training for that swim, and it worked out really well. I've done the training for the bike as well. I have, because we had 3,000 or 4,000 miles trained on the bike.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, I've done the training for the bike. There's no reason on this earth why this cycle won't work out for me.
No.
So I got on the bike with that mindset, and it worked fine as well. And then I got off the bike thinking, I've done the running as well, so there's no reason why this run won't work out. And that was the mindset I went into the run as well. And we've done, and that's the way I went through the first Ironman.
Unbelievable. So the only doubt really was the swim, and it was really only a doubt because you're not a lover of swimming.
Yeah.
Because whenever I was down in Cork, I went down to Cork, and when I was coming home with a medal, so that was my mind.
Yeah.
In my mind, that's what was happening.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. My run didn't happen with the hamstring going, but if I hadn't have done the run training and the bike training, I wouldn't have been able to walk it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? At the same time, my body was used to putting it in.
26.2 mile is 26.2 mile, no matter how you do it.
Well,
if you're on your legs and feet,
hands and knees,
you're doing 26.2 mile.
Yeah,
it's the same thing for it's the same distance for everyone.
If you can get to the start line of Ironman, you have covered some ground.
Yeah.
Even if you haven't done enough.
Yeah.
You have covered.
Yeah.
Like you have chalked up some serious mileage.
You have. You know. There's no doubt. There's absolutely no doubt in that.
But that Austria swim, that's in one of those lovely big picturesque lakes, isn't it?
Yeah. Klagenfurt. It's an outskirts of Klagenfurt, a town called Klagenfurt, and I can't remember the name of the lake, but it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful country. And I say we worked in a family holiday around it, stayed in a holiday park with a lake and all at it. About 10 or 12 miles from the start, from the start of the event itself, you know.
Do you know what else that I'm thinking as well? That's a very, very important aspect of that, and it's probably very, very close to your own heart anyway. But the fact that your kids were there, whenever you finished that. Now, my boys weren't in Cork whenever I finished, but they were blown away that I had done this thing. And for me, that was wild important.
Yeah.
For me personally, it was very important. And anybody that's read the book or listened to the first 4 episodes of my podcast will understand that the importance of being able to change and to be a positive male role model to your kids. But for them to see that and for them to hear that gun go off, and that charge of 2,500 people and this frenzy in the water, the white water, and then the whole, as the day panned out, it must have been, you know, because I spoke previously to a guy, Keith Clark, earlier on in the podcast, and he was talking about when you're caught up in it by yourself, you don't kind of realise, or you don't think about the other people that's at the start line or the finish line, you know, because you're so you're focused on what you're doing in time. But in reflection, you know, to be able to have your children there and your wife there, and for them to see, you know,
it was absolutely fantastic, because I don't know if MDOT still do this or not, because I know MDOT has changed a lot over the years and they're very much a business now. But at that time they did an Iron Kids race. The day before the Iron Man.
Still do that. They still do,
And my 2 kids were able to do that, which was fantastic. So they still, you know, you get an M.Dot medal, which is obviously the M of the dot. They have a K.Dot medal.
Oh, brilliant!
In the house. So
that's magic.
So Callum and Shannon both did that. Different, like they were only, I guess, as I say, that's 17 years ago. So Callum's 29 now. So Callum was 12, and Shannon would have been 11. There was 18 months of difference in them, but the way their birthdays fall in July. From this time of the year to September, there's a year between them. Like, Shannon is now 28 and Callum was 29. Callum was 30 in September. So Shannon was 11 and Callum was 12, you know, and they did the wee kids race on the Saturday, which was lovely for them to do. And then, as you say, then Austria is fantastic. The run part, you go through the Ironman City, they call it. You go through Ironman City 5 times.
Right.
Throughout the run. It's 2 big figure 8s sort of thing that you do with that run. So I was able to see them 5 times, and then the 6th time obviously was the finish line.
Right.
So I was able to see them, and they were able to see me, how it was going and all the rest, you know. But funny when you say that about, you know, about an Ironman or whatever. Geraldine happened to say to me the next day, you know, she says that of all the things, she says, that you've done, like motorbike racing, marathons, all, she says, that is an event. That is an event. That is something to see.
In terms of the spectacle of what it is,
and the enormity of it,
the vibe and the atmosphere, and the theatrics,
the
music,
and the organisation of what it takes for the organisers to organise that. And the 2,500 people doing this, and the spectators, and the whole. She says, that is something else.
Aye.
I would like to also add in, but at the same time, because I do sometimes feel that there's a bit of pressure maybe sometimes on people to do Ironman. Ironman isn't the be-all and end-all of triathlon.
Absolutely not.
And I've always said it, if you do a triathlon, whether it's a try or whatever, or a sprint, Olympic distance, half Ironman or an Ironman, you're still a triathlete. You know, sometimes I feel that the emphasis put on Ironman, and don't get me wrong, anybody that does it, that's fantastic, but it's not for everyone.
No.
You know, and in certain stages in people's lives, they don't have the time either.
No.
Some people don't even want. Some people have no notion of doing it. It just doesn't enter their mindset at all, and that's fine.
Oh, absolutely.
That is 100% fine. You know, so even though, like, I'm talking sort of very, I suppose, what would you say, favourably about the Ironman, but you've generated some great memories in my head that I hadn't thought about for years and years here in these events. And I'm sort of talking quite favourably about the Ironman, but Ironman isn't the be-all and end-all of triathlon, you know, so...
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, and Ironman was something that I would have viewed in awe, and I would have thought, like how does anybody do that?
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal thing to be doing, and it was never on my radar either.
Yeah.
But it was. I put it all down to midlife crisis for me, plain and simple. Feeling that I'm getting a bit old, I had started to try and make myself a wee bit better, and then I just floated the idea one night. I happened to say it out loud, and someone said to me, I don't know, maybe I'd leave it for a wee while, you know, you need to get, you know, you would need to do a wee bit more of this, you need to do a wee bit more of that, and then I just thought, no, why should I wait?
Yeah.
Because the longer I put it off, the more chances are that I'm just going to keep putting it off. At the beginning of this podcast, you referred to that locking it in.
Yeah.
So I fucking went and signed up, and I thought, right, here we go, 20th of August, the day I turned 50.
Very good.
That's what I'm doing. And what a way to celebrate.
Oh, 100%. You couldn't celebrate in a better way.
So it was, you know, lock and load.
Yeah.
But for me, what was the Ironman for me can be someone else's park run.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
it's about setting that target, and then whenever you get to that target, if that's done what you have wanted it to do, and you're content and happy with that, and you've achieved something to get there. Yeah. Then that's your Ironman. Do you know what I mean?
That's 100%. That's 100%. Because nobody knows anyone else's story.
No.
Or what's in their mind.
No.
You know, what they've been through. You know, most people just go and do something. It's like what I said to Michael Ward, the main man of the half marathon, the race director of the half marathon. I did the half marathon last Sunday as well.
Yeah.
First time in years and years. Never thought I would get back to that, but that's another story. But I said to Michael, I said, look, this means so much. No matter what I've done in the past, people don't realise, for some people, what it actually means.
Exactly, yeah.
And I said to Michael, look, Michael, you know, you do a fantastic job here. This is a fantastic event. I says, and, you know, in my book, there's not just one winner in an event like that, like a half marathon or whatever, or a marathon or whatever. There's a winner who crosses the line first, but everybody else behind that, all 3,000 or 4,000 people, are all winners.
Absolutely.
Because there's something in their head that brought them to do that.
Yeah.
And a lot of stories, a lot of maybe heartache in between whatever they've done. Yeah. And everybody can be a winner on a day like a half marathon, like Omaha half marathon. And Michael said, there'll be a lot of stories here today that you won't even know of. I said, no, you don't need to know them, but just realise how important that event is. But like our own Try the Lock. Same thing.
There'll be people doing Try the Lock, and it'll be a monumental hurdle or achievement. Yeah. And in the same way that the first ever sprint triathlon I did, and you've already talked about your first triathlon, it's a huge thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big thing.
It's a big thing.
Because it brings with it so much. I mean, it's nice to get a medal and a swanky t-shirt, but there's a lot much, you know, mentally and emotionally and all those things. Yeah. You know, and a great example of that is coming in, just when we're talking about the Omaha Half Marathon, coming in there towards Strathroy Dairies. Yeah. One of my club colleagues was in front of me, Porrick, and he was running in front of me, and I was trying to keep Porrick in my sights. I was thinking, you know, if I can keep close to Porrick, then Porrick will take me towards the line, and because I would have a lot of time for Porrick. He's a good runner and that, and I would have never have beaten him in a race. Yeah. So that's why I was trying to just hang on. So I was trying to, but the woman had slowed down to the point where she had stopped. And as Porrick was running by, he just very, very gently gave her a wee tap on the shoulder. Come on, there's only a mile to go. And she immediately perked up, got herself together again, and got herself back in the zone. You know, so we've got that supportive thing, because we all know when you're, you know, when you're struggling or you're suffering towards the last bit, that you've got just this wee push here now, and we're all very helpful and supportive. The community, the fitness community, triathlon community, and the running community, is something nice. There's something really, really lovely about that.
There's no doubt.
And it's something. It's so alien to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's possibly quite daunting to a lot of people to want to be, or how do I break into that? And for me, it was really alien. You know, my crew were maybe 10 or 12 lads running around with a Slayer t-shirts on, bag of cans, and when's the next gig?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Bouncing up and down the Slane and doing all that.
Yeah.
So for me to change my peer group was a big thing for me to try and move away from that. And I kind of, it took me a long time to drop away, you know, to drop out of that kind of lifestyle and to that. It's nearly like an existence of, you know, that person is part of who I am, and he's the guy that helped me overcome a lot of stuff. But I'm now a different guy, and I have a different agenda.
I do believe in life you have to go through everything that you've been through to get you to the point that you are now.
Yeah.
And whether it's good or bad that you've been through, good experiences, bad experiences, maybe good people, bad people, people that you don't need in your life, you have to associate with all those people and all those things in your life to get you to the point that you're at now.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, and like all experiences are learning. You learn from bad experiences. You know, it's like a bad training day. If you go out and you're training for a long event or whatever, you know, and somebody would say to you, "Oh, I had a wild bad training day." No, you hadn't a bad training day. That training day is there to teach you something.
It's taught you something.
Analyse what you done wrong. Analyse what you didn't do. Analyse what you did do, and see what you can change for the next long training day that you're going to do. You know,
and there's no such thing as a bad run, or a bad bike, or a bad swim.
No. If you get, you get there. You get, first of all, the start line is the goal for anybody. You get to the start line. If you get to the start line, you feel that this is doable, and that's a big thing in your head.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't feel it was doable, or you're injured, or whatever, you're not going to be at the start line.
That's right. Yeah.
So the start line is the first goal. And then obviously try and enjoy it, and the finish line is the bonus. That was always my way of doing things.
And that I'll be looking forward to. It's always the first Saturday in August when our own club event takes place up in Lochmacrory. And it's very handy for me. I live up there now, so it's really handy for me. Like, but it's there's a great buzz about that event, isn't there? And there's a lot of people, particularly from the local community. You know, a lot of guys from the football club or from the handball club, whatever, have seen this event unfolding in their community, in their village, and thought, this is a spectacle, and they've thought, I'm going to have a wee go at this. Yeah, it's fantastic. The amount of people. That's one of the things in your prime example. For me, the success of Oma Triathlon Club is people like you coming. Never ever would have thought of doing a triathlon or anything, and all of a sudden you're now doing triathlons. Yeah. Because of number one, the Oma Triathlon Club, and number two, Try the Loch. Without a doubt. And we've had, people talk about success and club success. I'm going to tell you, results are fantastic. You know, getting good results for guys in the club and all the rest. We have some great athletes. Yeah. You know, we talked about Kathy Cunningham earlier on about what she's done. You know, Jared Turbot. A few qualifiers for the Worlds and stuff. We had a group in 2013. A group of 6 of us qualified to go to the World Championships, age group World Championships in London. Phenomenal. 2013. You know, so results are absolutely fantastic. Yeah. But there's far bigger success in my mind with the Oma Triathlon Club, and that's the friendships that have grown out of it. We've had 2 marriages out of it. That's right. So we've had, and people who would never ever have dreamt of going to do what they do now, like triathlons. Yeah. People who would never have swam without having Oma Triathlon Club. Are now doing triathlons. Yeah.
went and took lessons the same as myself or whatever. So to me, that is the success. That is the success story of Women Triathlon, which me, for one of the founding members, I am very, very proud of that.
And rightly so. You know, it's a lovely, lovely thing. I remember walking down towards the loch, particularly on a summer's evening, before I would have been involved in any fitness. And I would have had my 6 cans of harp would have been in the fridge, chilling. And I went down towards the loch with my fly rod, thinking I'd catch a few brown trout here just while the sun's setting. And I'd be walking down and I'd be seeing these people getting into the loch, and I'd be thinking, who are these idiots with their friggin' rubber caps and their wetsuits on, fucking splashing about? That's me fishing out the window. And lo and behold, I am one of them idiots now, you know. Because
I'm proud to be one of them.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. But there was just something about it. Because I was always looking at the water, and I've always had a thing about the water, and I thought, why don't I just get in there and do that shit? Because that looks fun, like, you know. But no notion about a bike, no notion about running. And the same way that you've talked about McGill there earlier on, who was a good swimmer. But you're now, how many, you know, he's done multiple off the back of Women Tri Club.
I know, and Try the Loch just came about very easily as well. You know, it was very simple. I used to organise a run session on a Wednesday evening. I organised all the run sessions on a Wednesday evening for years. And we were out at youth sport one evening, and a guy called Noel Fox from Loch McCrory. We happened to be running at youth sport one Wednesday night, and Noel said to me, he says, Peter, is there anything we could do in Loch McCrory? I says, yeah, we could. He said, we could do a triathlon. And that's where Try the Loch started.
Simple as that.
As simple as that.
And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yeah, that's what
it really is.
That's where it started. That was as simple as that. That's how it started.
Peter, that was your choice of music, Matthew Wilder.
Yeah.
Tell us why you picked that one.
Well, the story of that one, Mickey, is whenever I went to do my first Ironman in Austria, 2008, my daughter Shannon came up with that song for me. And if you listen to the words of it, nothing going to break your stride, nothing going to slow you down. She said to me, if you're getting it tough in the marathon, think about that. And I did regularly think about that while I was in the marathon. And obviously within Ironman Austria, you see your family or you see your spectators maybe 5-6 times within the marathon. So every time I came to Geraldine and Callum and Shannon, I thought of that song and thought of those words regularly throughout the event, and it kept me going. So that's the reason why I've chosen that song to finish it off with.
There's always a extra wee thing, isn't there, that you have as on a standby, and sometimes you don't understand or realise the gravity of it, like until you have to call on it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But it must have been unreal for your family to be there too, like, you know, and see that and know that. Did you tell your daughter that you were playing that over in your head as you were going past, or
I didn't. No, not until afterwards. I didn't say I'm thinking of the song or anything like that. But can't remember whether it was that evening or the next day or whatever. I said to her, "Your song got me through."
Unreal.
Yeah.
And what about the family now, Peter? They've been through thick and thin with you, and they've seen you complete what, in my head, the toughest challenge with regards to sport. Are they following in Dad's footsteps? Does the apple fall far from the Peter Skeffington tree? Or are they a pair of lazy shades?
No, they're definitely not. No, they're definitely not. They'd always sort of been into sport from early age. As I said earlier on, I couldn't swim. I always wanted to be able to swim, but I wanted them to swim. So obviously when they were born nearly 30 years ago, you couldn't take your kid to the swimming pool until they were 5 months old and they had all their injections got at that time. So as soon as they were 5 months old, we had them in the pool.
Yeah.
And then as soon as Callum was ready, he was at swimming lessons. Shannon then followed the swimming lessons. When Callum was sort of learning to swim and getting on well with the swimming, the Stool Dolphins became a thing. And we enrolled Callum then into the Stool Dolphins, and he flourished from there. He's a fantastic swimmer. Swam competitively with the Dolphins, and an absolutely beautiful swimmer to watch swimming.
Yeah.
Even some of the Oman Triathlon Club members would have said that years ago. Whenever Callum would have been swimming, he was so nice to watch. So they competed. Shannon would have competed as well, but Shannon was into other things as well. They were she did Irish dancing. Competitively from she was 3 years of age till she was 21.
Right.
Did the All Irelands and the Worlds and all the Ulsters and all those things, So, and Callum swam for the Dolphins, qualified for the Ulster Championships and whatever. Callum's actually an Irish champion, a youth aquathon Irish champion.
Really?
Under 11. Whenever he was under 11, there was a wee series of races, Triathlon Ireland, organised up at Elgin Forum, Wednesday evening. I can't remember what year it was, but there was a duathlon, an aquathon, and a triathlon, all for beginners and for beginner adults, and for children. And Callum and Shannon I took them up to them, and they did them. And the aquathon, obviously, with Callum swimming behind him, and then the running. He was out of the pool, way ahead of everybody else. There had been a few runners maybe over there that were better runners at that time, but he had such an advantage in the swim that he was never caught in the run. So he won the race that night. And it was incorporated as the under 11 Irish Championship.
Unbelievable.
So he actually won that. But no, they still go out to do a lot of hiking,
right?
Mountains and whatnot, and regularly we go to Colca and different mountains around, and did a lot of outdoor events and different things. Camp America, Callum was 3 or 4 years in Camp America.
Brilliant.
And was like a leader. Actually ended up as the manager and the leader of one of the camps over there. He got on very, very well on it. Shannon was over as well in a different one. So I've done a lot of travelling and whatever, but sort of exercise and bit of training and sport has sort of always been there with them from early days. It's a good way. It's a good way to, I think, to show your kids. It's a good way of life, to show your kids,
It absolutely is, and it's worthwhile just every so often to take a wee time out and to acknowledge our roles.
Yeah.
And how influential we are with our children, and it's okay to give ourselves a wee pat in the back and think, job well done.
Yeah. Because
monkey see, monkey do.
That's very true.
You know what I mean?
That's very
true. If your kids are aspiring to be like their dad, and their dad's doing these healthy pursuits, and here, don't expect any of my cubs ever to get into triathlon, but they will have seen me swimming and running, and similarly with your children, they will have seen you doing your bits and bobs, and they'll have seen you crossing the line and would have been in the crowd of spectators at Ironman Austria, and that'll never leave them.
No.
Their dad done Ironman, and that's the coolest thing that I think that we're privileged to be able to pass down to the next generation, is that kind of here's the sort of I've given this a crack.
Yeah.
Can you catch the old man? Because we could so easily show them a different way of living, and we could get caught up in negative routines or unhealthy habits, and it's just nice to be able to teach that. It's one of those lessons it's unspoken, but it's so powerful.
No, there's no doubt. Maybe some of the kids mightn't like to think that you've been the big influence, but I think it generally does rub off. You know, the influence is always there.
I don't think I would be too surprised if I seen any of your kids donning the red and black of the Oma Tri Club at some point in the future.
Well, Callum has done a few, like early days, he did a few triathlons as well, you know, whenever he was sort of 15, 16. He'd done triathlon on a few occasions.
Did he?
He did, yeah. Swimming again, like he was, the first year he did it, he was third out of the water overall, and the second year he did it, he was fourth out of the water overall, you know, so.
What age is Callum again?
Well, he's 29 now.
29. Would it be tempted to come back in and put some manners in some of these young bucks in the club?
Well, it's hard to know. Not sure that he'd be in that frame of mind, you know. But he does, like, he goes to the gym and he go back swimming. Like, swimming's fantastic. Like swimming really is fantastic. But he would probably need to maybe brush up a wee bit on the swimming. I think he would admit that himself. But the technique and all, like, everything's there, you know.
He would have very little to do, like,
he
really,
wouldn't have a lot to do, no. He wouldn't have a lot to do. So, he had a good teacher as well, and one of like Adrian McKinney from the club, one of the swim coaches in Stir Dolphins for years. And nice. Adrian is responsible for a lot of young people around this town who can swim really, really well. Like, there's another lad in the club there now, Conor Cotter.
Yeah,
Conor has come from Stir Dolphins, like, and that'll bode really, really well for him. Yeah, you know, within triathlon, like, and he's good, eager.
That young man's just come along there and jumping straight into lane 1 or 2, isn't he? You know,
see, that's coming from the Dolphins. So
yeah.
But Adrian would have influenced an awful lot of young male and females, young people into swimming, which will maybe compute into the triathlon club at some stage.
What about your wetsuit? Is it gonna get in there? Do you think?
It might
for a wee leisurely dip in the lock.
It might do at some stage. Probably won't ever have the energy or you know, maybe to get back. Yeah. At this stage, I don't feel I need to. But try the lock, maybe be on the cards at some stage. Not this year, but try the lock, maybe on the cards. And I think if I do try the lock, I think that might do me. With regards to triathlon. That could be my final. Your last try event. Yeah. The final. And I'll stick. Hopefully, continue with running. You're running. It's great to see you back out and back involved in the club. You've always been involved in the club. In a way, you are the club. but you've always, you know, it's lovely to see you back training, back running, and your recent success with the Omaha Half Marathon is testament to the man that you are with regards to getting your head down and getting a goal and going for it and breaking it down and working out how do I get there, and it's just real. It's been lovely chatting to you, Peter, and it's been a real pleasure learning from you, and I'm sure you'll continue to inspire a lot of people. And I'm sure your story has inspired many people. So thank you. Thank you too, Mickey. It's been a pleasure talking to you as well. Not a problem. Have we got another tune to sign off on, or will we just pluck one from the air? You pluck one from the air. I'll pluck a good old motivational tune. Yeah. Peter, take care. You too, Michael.